Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission for June 26th, 2024. Jim is not able to join us, so Lauren was volunteered to fill in for him. Lauren, would you please take roll?
Yes, I'm here. Chris, you're here. Lester?
Here.
Mike Madone?
Here.
Rich?
Here.
Jim is absent, I believe. And Mildred?
Here.
First item on today's agenda, we will now take a motion to approve the agenda and minutes for the May 22nd meeting, unless there's any revisions. I will entertain a motion.
I so move.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Lauren?
Let's see, I was not present, so I'll abstain from voting. Chris?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Jim is not here, not present.
Okay, moving
And I'm sorry,
on.
Mildred.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
There you are, Mildred.
Sorry, Chris.
Sorry, Lauren, I got ahead of you. Moving on to agenda item number 4. We discussed the development of guidelines for the historic downtown. Lisa, do you have a committee report?
Yeah, we just met, so thank you for all the ones that were able to attend that meeting. We discussed the intent of creating design guidelines for the historic downtown. We also reviewed examples of other communities having those types of guidelines, looking at what we would want to include in our own. I think we settled on 2 examples of design guidelines from 2 different communities that we would incorporate, sort of a intermesh between the 2, but focusing heavily on putting in more graphics that illustrate the guidelines that we want to illustrate what we're going to be talking about for our historic downtown and what we would recommend. We haven't set another meeting though, so we could do another meeting and look at. I can make an attempt to do a draft incorporating both of those that we discussed, and then for next month, and we can meet.
Would that
again.
be too soon? You think you can at least have something for us to
We might
discuss?
have. I might be able to come up with something by then.
Okay. I'd like to have another discussion on that at the prior to next month's meeting, if everyone's open to that. See if we can't keep this moving forward and keep it fresh in our minds, and at least get a draft put together and discuss it a little further and go into more depth as to what we want to include or exclude from our version. Anyone else have any input concerning this afternoon's meeting?
I wasn't able to attend this
Where were you?
afternoon's meeting. I was at U-Scream,
Okay.
eating some delicious ice cream with the mayor from Leadville, and discussing community business. But I did just want to ask, I know that the Public Art Committee met last night, and we have one of our Public Art Committee members, AJ Crowley, in the audience as well. I wasn't sure if it would be helpful to have input from them or to better understand what they're envisioning for downtown and some of the projects that have come forward from downtown business merchants, such as Mr. Maleko, who's also in the audience, to ensure that the guidelines kind of address and answer some of the questions that may come up, or if it's too soon for that kind of input.
I think we are open for that input. I think we need to have our draft put together first, and then we can incorporate more detail. I'm certainly open to have them join us at our meeting next month It's at 3 o'clock, or excuse me, 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock prior to this meeting. We usually meet either in this room or in the adjacent meeting room. And if you'd like to join us and at least share what you have in mind and what you would like to see incorporated in our draft for the guidelines for our historic downtown, I think that'd be fantastic. I think one of the things we discussed is we want to include the community in this discussion, especially the Main Street merchants. I think it's important to say that we don't, what we want to do is encourage a vibrant downtown, and so certainly what we do has to incorporate what the people who live and work and spend their time downtown. So we will probably, as we get a draft put together, include those discussions. But that's a good place to start. So what's the date on that next meeting, Lisa?
It'll be July 24th
July
at
24th.
3 p.m.
3 p.m. If you'd like to join us and at least share what your thoughts are, and we'll probably invite others in as we further our draft.
Thank you so much, and I'll make sure that that goes out to the Public Art Committee, the time and date, so that others can attend as well. And thanks so much for being here, AJ.
Great, thank you, Amy.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to go one step further and say that we want to avail ourselves to that committee as well. So if that committee is moving faster than this one, or moving at a different time frame, that we would want to be, I would think that we would want to be engaging those discussions, regardless of even where we are in our own design guidelines process, because at this point, things move at different schedules and at different paces, and I think the conversations are important.
Thank you so much for that, Commissioner Lamone. I really appreciate it. There are a number of projects that have been kind of pending the city's creation of the Public Art Committee. So last night, when the Public Art Committee met, it kind of talked through what a streamlined approval process would look like. And I believe that they are planning to invite at least some of those project initiators to their next meeting in July, which is on July 30th at 6 p.m. here. And July 23rd at 6 p.m. here. And they would certainly, I'm sure, welcome input from the Historic Preservation Commission on those kind of streamlined projects. None of them involve painting buildings or bricks or anything like that. They're more sculptural installations, if I'm recalling correctly. But certainly that would give you a chance to take a look at the streamlined application process and also have input into what the more formal, longer-term application process might look like.
Great, thank you.
Any other comments or discussion? If not, we'll move on to the next item, the discussion of budget requests for 2025.
So it's never too early to talk about funding for next year, especially when it's coming up so fast. Departments will be looking at budgeting already for 2025. So if you have any suggestions or ideas for projects for the commission that you would like to see funding go towards, please let me know. I will, of course, put in our budget any requests for a scholarship for attending the CLG grant, or CLG conference for 2025, which will be in Colorado Springs this year. If there's any additional members that you think would be interested in attending this year, let me know, since it's so close. I could see a lot of us attending. But there's a limited amount of how much money we can get from the scholarship. So let me know as soon as possible. We can also apply for another CLG grant if you're interested in pursuing another project for that. The process for that starts in October. However, the grant application form is not due until January 2025, but the max that we can ask for that is $25,000. I know we applied for that this last year, and we didn't get it. Surveying, there's other opportunities that we can do in terms of projects for that wouldn't necessarily require a survey project. It could be anything from interpretive signage or interactive plat map that we were working on before, and getting that in a digital format that would be accessible online for people. So any types of those projects that you think we should pursue, especially for the grant, let me know again, as soon as possible.
And do you feel we need to establish a committee to look into that?
We
Is that
certainly
what your
can.
recommendation?
The other thing that we can look at too is, especially for the outreach committee, if they're wanting to do more workshops, training workshops, inviting presenters in, covering travel expenses for any of those individuals coming in, also supplies for that, and/or printing expenses for any type of booklet or guides. So it could be in part and parcel with an outreach committee as well as a budget committee. If you wanted to establish that, you're more than welcome to.
I think we could probably combine that with the outreach committee if there are others who want to participate in that. I think that that's important. I think that Jim has been very instrumental in carrying a lot of that load. So if there are others who want to participate and be a part of the outreach committee, I don't know that we need to vote on that unless we want to make that a dual-purpose committee.
The only reason why you would vote is if you wanted to create a separate budget committee. Or if you wanted to, I guess, nominate somebody to serve on that committee.
Do we have any discussion? Anyone interested in stepping forward and establishing, at least heading up that committee, and then we can either set up a separate committee or make that a part of the outreach. My feeling is the outreach committee is already established and is pretty good at, but we don't want to put everything on one committee's shoulders. What's the feeling of the rest of the commission?
I would support your position on that, Mr. Chairman. I think that if the outreach committee needs an additional day or an additional half hour or something of that in order to get more work done, we're a jolly bunch, and
That might be that's a good suggestion. Perhaps we add a
Speak for
half an
yourself.
hour and start that meeting at, say, 2:30, at least next month, and we address the budget issues first, and then continue on with the discussion on the guidelines for historic downtown.
We might want to meet prior to that, because I know the budget and finance department would probably like to have that sooner rather than later.
Okay. Do we want to have a special meeting of the outreach committee and budget committee, say in 2 weeks? Are you thinking sooner than that?
If we can do it starting next week, that would be great.
Okay. So we want to set a time and a place.
Next Wednesday, we can meet at the museum.
Okay. So next Wednesday at 3 o'clock work?
Yep, that would be fine.
So that would be the 3rd, July the 3rd. We're going to have a budget outreach committee meeting, and if we have any volunteers that would like to step forward and say they can be a part of that, I would appreciate that now. And then I will certainly be there.
did you say 3 or 4?
We're going to do it at 3, is that what we decided, 3 o'clock?
I'm available.
Okay. Anyone else?
I can be there.
Okay. So, Millie, Mike?
I'll try to make it there.
Okay. Lauren?
I don't think I'm going to be here on the 3rd.
Okay. So I think we have enough people to make that a meeting. I don't know that we need to establish a committee today, or do you think we should?
That should be sufficient. yeah.
Okay, so we're going to meet next week, July 3rd at 3 PM at the museum to discuss the 2025 budget requests, and then we are going to apply for some grants and try to get some additional state funding for some projects in the following year. Everybody good with that? Okay, I don't think we need to take roll on that, so we will move on to general announcements. Lisa?
There are a few upcoming CLG discussions or webinars. On July 24th, the same day that we're having our meeting, they will be presenting sugar beet history in Colorado at noon. And then on August 21st, the CLG, you can register for both of these through the CLG portal. The one workshop on August 21st at noon is going to be on Latino, Hispanic, and Chicano history of Colorado. And they're free.
Any other announcements? With that, we'll move on to public comments. We'll open this up to the public. If anyone has anything they would like to add. And with that, I think that we've covered all of the items on the agenda. Anybody have anything that they would like to add? If not, I will move to adjourn, and we will meet again next week, or excuse me, next week on the 3rd, and then our next meeting is on the, I thought I wrote it down somewhere here, but I didn't. 24th
Yep.
of July. With that, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.